Hello, video request, video request. Somebody goes, Bella, si poco l'inglese ma ascoltandoti, forse miglioro. Question. What was the need for humanity to build the cities? Why humanity lives in the city? Thanks. Well, the humanity live in the city because we because we need the buildings. We need the buildings to hold the food, and you put the buildings together, closer to each other, so that you don't have to travel that far. You don't have to travel that far to get from building to building, to get your amenities and get your tools and stuff. Like if you want to. If Jimmy Johnson wants like a new roof on his house, you got to get the shingles and all that kind of stuff. Now you don't want to go like way down yonder the way to get the shingles. You're just going to want to walk down the street. So we have everything close to each other, so that you can walk around and ride your bike around, and not have to like wait forever. Now that's an interesting request in that once we get like electric flying cars and stuff, like anti-gravity cars, we can fly all over the place. We could spread out real good. And a lot of people would do that, spread out, live out in the woods. There'd be, all sorts of like castles hither and thither, where people would be alone. But, for the most part, human beings are social animals, like the lion, like the dog, and like the dolphin, And so we would naturally congregate also. In the future, in the future, the cities actually float above the planet, in like basically floating spaceships that float above the planet that can actually then also fly to another planet and then come back to Earth. But Earth is like our home, but we preserve all the animals and we feed the animals and we get to enjoy the nature of everything. But the cities themselves are just these places where everybody, lives together in these little, like apartments in the big spaceship, and so that they can constantly be interacting with each other. Like in the morning you'd go to the ballet recital, and for lunch you'd see the wrestling match, and then in the evening you go to the concert, and then between that you go to your house, and you'd visit your friends and all that kind of stuff. So people are always going to be social and huddled together in groups. Yeah, and so that's what a city is. It's a bunch of buildings together with people living in them. Yeah. So now the question, what was the need for humanity to build cities? So if you're talking about like the history of cities, the transform. This is an interesting story of history. It's a really important epoch of history. It's one of those valency levels that you leap these evolutionary leaps. Is from going from the and it's not a smooth leap. It's a very a lot of action involved. From barbarian times to living in the actual cities with construction times. It's very well documented, the relationship and evolution between barbarians and civilization, with cities, having to do with the Roman Empire and the Germans. Tacitus, back in the beginning of the second century A.D., wrote a book called Germania, and he just based on reports that he heard from soldiers coming back from Germany, and very detailed, talking about Germania. And I should actually do a video about that. Wow. Ding! Light bulb above my head. Dingy wingy. And yeah, man, I mean, a totally different lifestyle, dude. They didn't have cities at all. They're like cities, if you could call them a city. It would be like city/church area. Central Square would be just like a grove of trees, that they had legends of, Elgar was born under this tree. Helgus died in battle upon yonder tree, and they would go there and they'd eat their mushrooms and they would, do their sacrifices and stuff. And that's basically the barbarian version of a city, because because their houses were just piled timber, and then they throw a bunch of mud on it, throw some grass on the roof, and call it good. They wouldn't even bother to put a door on it, and then they'd have that for like a year, and like they even had laws, a lot of those tribes, where they wouldn't even have to be able to have a house built in one place more than a year, so that they could move on, because they kept them strong, and it kept, what also was good for not over killing their environment and stuff. But yeah, but and they didn't, and they were very monogamous, and very warlike. Then if they would sit around too much. This was actually written by I was listening to Decline and Fall of Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon, and written in the 1830s, and he got his information from, I don't know, lots of different books. But yeah, he was saying that like the barbarians, when they'd hang out, they would if there was too much period of peace, then they would just drink all the time, drink their beer, just their really crude beer, and then like kill each other in their drunken brawls, and then they'd get bored, and they'd just want to go out and they'd start a fight. And a lot of times they'd start wars just because they were bored, and they wanted an adventure. That's how a lot of wars in the past started. Was just because there was just too many young dudes out there who were bored and who just wanted to fight. That was mentioned in Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars book. That's how a lot of the rebellion started again. That's, according to him. But then they kind of get sick of the fighting and all that kind of stuff. And well, not really. I mean, it depends on the environment that you live in. If you live in a place that's conducive for cities, and it's not just a bunch of forests and everywhere. Because another thing that kept Germans from being civilized is they didn't have any they didn't have any metal. They had no iron or copper or tin or anything like that growing naturally. It was just a bunch of woods. Like, I mean, we know that from World War II. Remember when they lost access to Turkey, they couldn't build their jet engines anymore. There was no more zinc and stuff. So anyways, they couldn't, like, when they fought, they'd fight with clubs. Even when they would fight like Rome, they'd fight with like clubs and like flint spears and like iron, like some like really rudimentary weapons, man. And because they just, so there was never really an opportunity to do that. But in other places farther south, there, less forests, more fields, more farming. That's when people, when and then they realized that they could make a lot of food, and they wouldn't have to, run around all day long to gather their food, and that was the beginning of cities. And then when that happened, it made life easier, and there was less war, and there was more periods of peace, and then people get to start writing and recording history and building buildings, and that was more interesting, and that's what created big societies and called countries that could go out and conquer the world. And that's the beginning of cities. That's why we have them. So the need for humanity to build the cities was I mean, if you want to get esoteric about it, it was basically people, humanity has been around for 250,000 years, and you reincarnate, and eventually you just get, you get sick of doing the same damn thing, life after life after life. I mean, it's fun to run around through the bushes and, half naked and chasing after, lions, tigers, and bears, and fighting and all that kind of stuff, getting drunk and whatever. But there comes a time when you start, when you're ready to evolve, and you need the cities and stuff for all that to get to the world where we are now, where I get to just chill, and hopefully by the beginning of the year, I can, when the Nazis let weed legal, I can go to the store and just smoke weed all day long. I mean, how badass is that? So it's just this like underlying need to evolve, and so that's when the whole cities, build the cities and all that kind of stuff came about. So the real need, to put it really simply, is evolve. You need cities to evolve. You need technology to evolve your soul. So now what do we need? What kind of cities do we need now to evolve? We need no more war. We need like a communistic system to take care of the basic needs of people, so that people are content and we have peace. And and then the cities evolve. So interesting request, Antipulki. And and thanks to the Italians for all of that. It was the Roman Empire that brought all that together, man. So good stuff. Good stuff, Italianos. Okay, peace out.